you won't mind. So hold on a second. I'm not sure. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Thank you so much for joining. And this is day one of the project technical gathering for the OpenStack Manila project team and targeting the OpenStack Wallaby release. Work for this release has started a couple of weeks ago, as just as we shipped the OpenStack Victoria release, and so things are full swing. But this is our design meeting where we're going to go into the depths of where so the features that are going to be due, that we're working on right now for the Wallaby cycle and beyond. So I'd like to get started with introductions as usual. We do have a smaller subset of people than we usually see, but that's fine. Let's just do a quick round of introductions, and then we can dive right into the first topic, which is the Victoria Cycle retrospective. So I'll begin. I'm Gautam Pacha Ravi. I'm the project technical lead for the OpenStack Manila upstream community, and I have been a software engineer at Red Hat and an OpenStack contributor for several years now. And uh, yep, that's pretty much the introduction. And I think most of you already know me, but if you don't, hello. And we can go down the room and I'll call out your name. You can tell me who you are for the record. Carlos.
Yeah, for sure. My name is Carlos. I'm a software engineer. I work as a contractor for NetApp, and I've been part of this great team for about 2 years now. And it's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Carlos. Douglas.
So hello, I'm Douglas. I'm one of the core reviewers from Manila since the end of the train release, and I work for NetApp as a software engineering, working mainly with new features for Manila and maintaining the NetApp driver and providing bug fixes and improvements on our driver, uh, and that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Eduardo.
Sorry? Hi. Did you say something? Sorry, I couldn't listen. Should I introduce myself now?
Yep.
Yeah.
So my name is Eduardo Santos. I'm from Brazil. I'm currently at college. My course is computer engineering, my bachelor's, and I'm currently an intern at Flex Institute of Technology, and I'm working with the guys from NetApp, Carlos, Douglas, um, and that's it. It's a pleasure to be part of the community.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, and nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Felipe.
Hello everyone, I'm Felipe. I work for NetApp as software engineering, and this is my second PTG, but actually it's my first PTG that I've part of the whole cycle. So I think this time I will enjoy more this, and that's it.
Thank you. I expect we'll enjoy your company as well. Uh, thanks, Felipe. And hi, Xine. I suspect he doesn't appreciate me calling out. He just joined us, I think. So if he says hi at some point, Xine's joining us from China. It's too late in the day for him, but we'll probably say hi at some point. Lucio.
Hello, my name is Lucio. I work with Carlos, Douglas, Eduardo, and Felipe at NetApp team. So I'm currently working more with Cinder project, but sometimes I take a look on Manila things. But the other guys are doing everything, so there's not much work for me. So nice to meet you.
Absolutely. But thanks for joining us, Lucio. Maury.
Hi everyone, I'm Mari. This is my second PTG now. I joined the Manila team as an outreach intern last year, December, so I'm gonna be 1 year in this team soon. And I'm a contractor for a city network right now.
Awesome. Thank you. Feels like yesterday. Um, Tiago.
Hello, I'm Thiago. I also work for NetApp as a software engineer. And I've been working on the Cinder side for some time, but now I'll be joining the Manila side too. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Hey, this is pretty surprising to me. There's a lot of new contributors that we're seeing. Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom. I've worked on Manila for several years now. I work for Red Hat. And I'm glad to see everybody, the new people and the old faces that I know before as well. It's really fun to see everybody here.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tom. Victoria.
Hey folks, I'm Victoria Martinez de la Cruz, software engineer working at Red Hat based in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Has been contributing to Manila for a couple of cycles now. And well, I'm really excited to be on our officially second virtual PTG. But I definitely miss you actually meeting with you in person and sharing with some beers with you. But well, hopefully next year. So yep, that's me. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Vida.
Hi, everyone. I'm Vida. I'm a quality engineer working for Red Hat, and I've been with the Manila team since last year. I work with Gotham, Victoria, and Tom. Worked with most of you, and this is my second PTG, but also the first one that I had a chance to work on Victoria full cycle. So it should be very informative and great to be a part of this team.
Great. Thank you. Maurice.
Hi, I'm Maurice. I work for SAP. I've been using Manila for about 3 years since I'm a developer and ops person, and I started to develop on Manila because I've seen issues in ops as well. So yeah, and we are mainly using the NetApp driver and are running Manila on Kubernetes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. Sorry for all the issues that we cause all the time, but we sometimes do that because we want you to join us. Just kidding. So Liron, hear us?
Hi, my name is Liron. I've been working for Red Hat for about 6 years. I started in the Orbit project 1 year after I moved to OpenStack. To Cinder team, I was responsible for automation and CI. And in the last year, I moved to Manila, also responsible for automation and CI. That's all.
Great. Thank you. Did I miss anybody out? I didn't. Awesome. So it's a nice group of people, especially for a retrospective of what was done last time. So on the main Etherpad for today, I have a link to the Victoria Cycle retrospective. I'm still going to give you a couple of minutes before we start talking about the first topic. It is if you can't get to it, it's on the Wallaby PTG Manila Etherpad we're going to be using this, so please don't add any new topics to the planning etherpad unless you're doing it at the bottom at the end scheduled section that I'll take a look at the end of each day. So just to in the couple of minutes that you're going to take to fill out the Victoria cycle etherpad, retrospective etherpad, I'd like to go over what we're going to do today. We are going to have three things, and so it's a very light schedule. Uh, so we're going to be spending about 35 to 40 minutes on the retrospective for the last cycle, and then we're going to get into a discussion on sub teams, something that Victoria and I were talking about for the past few cycles, and we want to propose to you, to you all for consideration. And then we're not going to be in this room for the last 40 minutes, where we're going to go to the Triple O room for a cross-project discussion on Ceph Adam. And this should interest the Manila community, although this is mainly Triple O focused. We think that it might be of interest to the Manila community because we are maintainers to the DevStack plugin for CephFS in the upstream as far as testing goes, even if we are not directly contributors to Triple O and such. So we just want to be in that room to understand what Triple O is doing, so how we could take the DevStack plugin Ceph forward. So let's switch over to the etherpad for the Victoria's cycle. I am sharing my screen. You don't have to look at it though. This is this etherpad. All of you have access, so you can start typing into it. And we have, let's begin with the action items that we have from last cycle. We said we are going to go promote internship and mentoring opportunities. And we've done that to some extent. I mean, from what I know, we've done the Grace Hopper celebration, recency bias there. We've also applied to two outreachy internships, and the last one we couldn't land an intern, but we are hopeful we can get one or more in this outreachy cycle. We did not do a Google Summer of Code. Uh, I mean, submission last year between June and now, but that is still an open option for the next summer. And yeah, pretty much that's it, I think. And we are going to be talking to a few interns on Friday. We just started with a senior design project with Boston University, and we have 3 students that are going to be joining us on Friday to introduce themselves and talk to us about what the work that they're doing with OpenStack Manila. Am I missing anything, Victoria? I'm sure we had other fun stuff that we did through the Wallaby, through the Victoria cycle.
No, you covered it perfectly.
Great, thank you. And we had also taken an action item to do documentation and bug squash days, and that's going to be part of what we did well. So I'll talk about it at that time. And Manila UI needs attention, so we'll talk about that as well in a bit. So what went well? The documentation and bug squash days. So we had at least 2, and we did these sort of back to back in consecutive weeks, I think, at M3. At milestone 3, which actually was pretty great. I tip my hat to Vida and to Victoria for the hard work they put in for both these events. Vida groomed all the bugs for us, brought out bugs that were 2 years old, and that were completely out of memory for us, and we had the opportunity to actually go ahead, work on them and close them. And we even took back documentation to older releases. And the same can be said with bug squash. I do have a little bit of a this thing itch with the bug squash, only because we definitely spent a long time as a team to triage the bugs and to understand the bugs. because many a times when a bug is languishing for that long, we kind of lose context of what the bug was all about, and or maybe we don't know if the bug is reproducible anymore, um, or we may have accidentally fixed it as part of some other bug fix, and so on. So we did definitely need that triage that we did, but I suppose it would be more productive if we did this repeatedly. That would be my feedback from that. But I did want to ask you, does anybody else have anything to add about these two events?
Gotham. I'd like to add something that last PTG I just was kind of on the sidelines and watching, but we discussed the idea of having the bugathons, and it was kind of like a twinkle in my eyes in the last PTG. And since then, we actually developed the model, and it's been a working model. We haven't even had to tweak it, and we've had these two very successful bugathon events. So it's been like a great experience. I just wanted to share that, how fast this moved and how everybody pitched in. Very successful program. Thanks everybody for pitching in and adopting it.
I know at some point, Vida, that you had numbers. Uh, do you still have them somewhere?
Yeah, I do, and I can collect them and share them over the day or by tomorrow. But the numbers were when I did the analysis of how well we could do with our backlog and so forth, all those numbers are available. But so far, we almost went down we reduced our backlog by about over 60%. And the doc improvements have been just phenomenal. On the doc side, we went down about 50% as well. But this number has been fluctuating a little bit because of the incoming bugs. So yeah, about 50% for the doc bugs as well, if you want to break it down. So very effective. Just wanted to kudos to everybody.
Yep. Anyone else has any feedback? Certainly thanks to you, Vida. Thank you for putting those lists together. And every time you do that, it's pretty awesome.
Of course, a pleasure working with you guys. Gotham, if you need a more breakdown, let me know. I can add it in or
Oh yeah, sure.
forward it to you. Okay, sure.
You can add this to the Etherpad. Maybe we can come back to it tomorrow or day after and make
Of
people feel
course.
good, right?
Yeah, show it off.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anybody else has anything else to add with these two things? So I'd at least like to take some action items and what to do for this cycle, for the Wallaby cycle. Are there any suggestions on how we can do anything differently?
Gotham, I just want to reiterate that if we could keep, create, we kind of came up with a de facto cadence for bug squashes and bug events. If we could keep the momentum through Wallaby, that would be very helpful, and the future, cycles. I think we can make a major impact based on the initial breakdown of the type of bugs we have and the analysis. We could make a huge quality impact if we keep the cadence of, let's say, one bugathon per quarter, something like that. Not too aggressive, and schedule it according to the release cycle. That might be something to look at.
That's a good point. So is it too many to do one per milestone?
It depends. We have to keep the content. We're not going to throw everything at everybody, but break it down into phases. I mean, the next logical thing would be to break it down into windows, and it bug more than 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, that sort of thing, so that the content is not overwhelming and it's doable within certainly a week in a good time window. So we can come up with those details, but the cadence and momentum, I think, would really help us continue to be successful in this area.
Awesome. So yeah, so since you're looking at them, Vida, you have certainly that context of saying that there are bugs that have been there for X number of years, and we should look at these, separately, and or rather, first get them addressed or closed, and then then we'll understand when to do these events. So I actually would look to you to determine some sort of cadence. So if you think, I mean, if it helps, we can all pitch in and discuss that. But if in case you have ideas for, hey, when do we do the next events? I'm all ears.
Sure. And actually, for that, Gotham, would be helpful to get a little bit of feedback from folks who contributed to the actual closures and analysis and fixing the bugs. Like, what did you guys think about the time frame and impact to your schedule? Did you think that the schedule in the past two docathons that we have and the bugathon, was it doable? Were you under pressure? I mean, maybe some kind of feedback as to the workload it introduced to your day. That would be helpful because we don't want to stress anybody out. We want to be reasonable. So a feedback on the load that this introduced, the past two events introduced, would be helpful. And we can tweak it according to that.
Yeah, that's a great way to put that question. Since many of us here have worked on those bugs, what did you think? Is there feedback that you can give, Vida?
Well, so I have to say that I don't want to say the worst is over us, but we attack the high and medium priority bugs first, of course. So the ones that are majority of the ones left on the list are, low priority and wish list bugs. So that kind of can give you an idea that the impact won't be as much as the first couple of events, is what I'm guessing. Or we could close them or address those issues maybe at a faster clip or higher volume. That would be my approach. But again, some feedback from the team would be helpful on this too.
So we didn't address all of the high prior bugs, although we did a good number of them. But I wonder
Exactly.
if we could, I mean, because there were, I know, a few bugs that we said, hey, this bug will need an API change, and we cannot
Yeah.
make it in a backwards incompatible way.
I was going to actually provide that as a feedback that sometimes some of the bugs that we triage for as part of those events, like it seems quite innocent at the moment of triaging. So we would say something like, yeah, I can make this work, by next week or by, next 2 weeks. But some of them were like not that innocent and required a big change that was either an API change or an design change or something like that, in which case, I don't know, like how we can tackle those bugs. Like it's not that we fail on tracing those, but maybe we need to come up with something else we do as part of the bug squashes, in which we say, okay, this one was triaged like last bug squash and requires to do this and that, and maybe we need to split that bug into different smaller bugs and target that to be completed at some point. But do not count that we couldn't close that bug because, of a lack of understanding, but because we needed to do a better planning. I don't know if it makes sense on what I'm saying.
Yeah, it does. And for the complex issues, complex bugs, does it make sense to have like a working group or a task force or something, depending on what the issue is? Would that help? Do we think that would be helpful? And the task force wouldn't have to wait until like every week. They can just kind of offline communicate and try to solve problems or break it down to smaller problems and work on it so that you know, we don't wait weeks. We can just communicate offline and break down and fix the issues. Is that something, Victoria? What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds good. Maybe also bringing those, complex bugs on our weekly meetings, saying, hey, on our last triage, we found this one and we found that it was not so easy to fix because X and Y. How we can, discuss with the full community on how we can schedule how it's going to be fixed and see if we can split the workload, maybe something like that. If the task force or the dedicated team doesn't work for this, I don't know.
We do that right now. The way we do it is we keep track of it in the Etherpad, and we flag it as, to be revisited in like 2 weeks. So we unofficially do this, but if it's a complex problem and it needs to be dealt with more focused, that's the question. Maybe want to address it a different way, like you said.
So the way I think of it, though, is, I mean, we are doing what the sub team stuff pretty informally. Like, we don't discuss on the channel, which is kind of a bad habit, I think. But I think that's because we kind of think it's easier for me, for instance, to just talk to Tom and Douglas, or Douglas and Carlos, or for them to talk amongst themselves, etc., when they're working on a bug. Um, and seek some ideas before bringing it to the team and saying this is the plan and approach, sort of a thing. uh, and that's typically not ended up becoming a problem. What has ended up becoming a problem was the timelines, at least where we realized that this bug is too complex to handle after M3. It needs to be pushed to Wallaby 1, for instance. That we did that with a bunch of bugs last time. So it kind of makes me feel that while we're working on this with as teams, as this complex bug, we should probably have a triage early in the cycle and one at M3 perhaps. How does that sound? Early in the cycle to tackle those big hard bugs that might need multiple weeks of work.
Yeah, certainly. And I think, yeah, definitely that we do that. We go over the high bugs often, so we can flag them as well. Gotham, I'll make a note. High and complex, complex bugs.
Yes, I agree with you. And let's take that as an action item. And does any other feedback on that? Anything else we should do differently? I still think that the one per milestone thing is too much to expect. Uh, Definitely, because we have, I mean, it's these rough, weird milestones that we have. Uh, Milestone 1, milestone 2, and milestone 3. Milestone 3 is really where we have a real deadline for ourselves, which is get all the feature work done. Make sure there are, I mean, at least aim for no more API changes after milestone 3, right? And between milestone 3 and RC1, you really want to be in this bug fix mode where you don't want to make any API database changes that you don't have enough soak cycles to test. So at least having a bug squash or a I mean, doc squashes can be done at any time, I think, but bug squash at milestone 1, and have a focus on these bugs that we've just in the last cycle called out that, okay, this one requires an API change or maybe a spec or something. But having that at milestone one, or just before or just after milestone one, and then having a follow-up one after milestone three, just like what we did last cycle, might be easier on people than one per milestone. What do you think? Any objections, suggestions?
I agree with you in the idea of not to maybe too much to do one for each cycle, and about feeling overwhelmed about the bug squash or the Dockathon. I wouldn't say that. And I mean, if we start doing that more often, we would probably reduce the amount of bugs, and it would eventually become less overwhelming during the years and stuff like that. So, I mean,
That's true.
that's,
Yep.
yeah.
We're now sitting on a bug backlog of maybe over 100. But you're right. I mean, we do this a couple of cycles. Maybe that comes down to double digits, or even under 50 and such. So yeah, I mean, at some point we might decide, okay, this is too many bug squashes. We'll just do one per cycle or something.
Yep.
That would be great, guys. I was hoping for one per cycle. If you want more, that's even better. But we always tweak the cadence. So we don't want to burn people out, and we want to improve the quality.
Great. So we've, I think, kind of agreed on the two things. I mean, two bug squashes, I guess, and it's still up to you, Vida, if you're making some sort of a running list that we can take a look at, and then we can schedule the milestone one bug fix thingy right after I mean, right after the PTG. You and I can talk, and we can bring it up to the Manila meeting and pick a date.
Yeah, Gotham. Sounds good.
Sorry, any final thoughts on bug fixes, bug squash days, dockathons? I do want to add that I mean, completely appreciative of your time and the effort that went into the last couple of ones. It was great work. We'll definitely keep the ball rolling because we aim high, but definitely don't want to lose context of where we were. All right, let's move on to the next thing, internships and mentoring. We spoke a little bit about this already. Thank you so much, Victoria, for driving most of this actually, starting with the Grace Hopper celebration where you got the Manila team involved. I don't know if this was communicated enough during the weekly meeting, but at the Grace Hopper celebration, it felt like OpenStack Manila was the OpenStack project that's being worked on because there were so many Manila contributors out there, and it was great, you know, sort of feedback to new contributors as well as, I mean, it was amazing. I think we pitched a picture that Manila is awesome. It is a great starter project, even although I mean, in our minds, Manila is quite complicated, and there are all these, amazing challenges that you have to go through and such. But when we were projecting the picture to absolutely new contributors, I think we communicated very effectively that it's a very welcoming community. There is a lot of ground to cover for new contributors without getting overwhelmed. So that's some feedback from the Grace Hopper thing. And as you heard, Outreachy and Boston University stuff is still ongoing, and we're going to meet these interns soon. Um, and I think one other thing that I wanted to call out is Maury was an intern with us just last cycle, and she's a mentor now. So that's that's a pretty awesome thing for us as a testimony for ourselves. I'm going to pat ourselves on our backs for that. And thanks, Maury, for sticking on, for continuing to contribute, make such high level contributions. Anyone wants to add anything else to that?
I want to join you, Gotham, on saying thanks to everybody that helped us with Grace Hopper. It was a quite big event because what we wanted to do was quite challenging. Like we wanted to take newcomers from 0 to 1 contribution and do pair programming, everything on a virtual context. And initially we thought we were going to get like, I don't know, 15 applicants, and we ended up getting like, I don't know, 80. Then I think it was 40 or 50 that show up. So we run to your asking you for help at the very last minute, and you join us as mentors. So I'm very grateful for that, and that's the main reason that Manila play such a big role on the Grace Hopper event. Also for the Boston University internship, this is something I had to say thanks to Gotham. I am very excited about this. This was something that was broadcasted on the OpenStack Discuss mailing list, and Gotham didn't hesitate to apply to this and submit a project for some students to apply for. The students that that apply to work on Manila, they seem to be very smart and very hard worker, and they are very excited about OpenStack in general, on Manila in particular. So I am also very excited to see their contributions. It's a great experience for them, but also for us, since they will, well, provide with a fresh view on things. It's funny, but the gap that we have on age and experience is definitely a very fun thing to see. Like we were trying to get them on IRC last week, and it was a couple of funny conversations we have and a couple of good insights that they share with us. So looking forward to keep working on this. And for Richie, yeah, definitely, I'm very grateful to Maury to keep stick with the community and to show that, you know, great talent comes out from these internship opportunities. Now we do have one applicant for the next round of Richie internships. Her name is Dina. She seems to be very, very smart and really hard worker. She would be working on the Manila UI. So that's going to be tackling one of the items we have on what needs improvement part. She has not been selected yet, like it's not official that she's our intern, but I'm doing all that I have on my reach to make that happen, and I'm really looking forward to have her on our team. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to add. Thanks.
Awesome.
I
Always
just want to add that it's fun seeing Victoria and Gotham talk about how old they are and how young the new people are that are joining. But I have to say, from my perspective, it's really, really exciting to see people joining Manila, active people. You know, Mari, it's just, you've been doing such impressive work, and it's just really, really exciting to have you here. I love what Victoria and Gotham are doing to recruit people and attract them to the team, and having them see people like Mari and Douglas and Carlos, you know, who've been very active and recently, and who are bringing in more people into their team, I see. So it's just really exciting. I'll shut up now, but it's exciting.
Oh, thanks for sharing, Tom. Amazing. Any other thoughts on that? Thanks for all of you for putting in the time to coach, and beyond that, you know, spend your time to mentor, teach people new things. The more number of people that you teach, you get better at it, and the more things you teach, they're learning pretty fast, and you're not going to be teaching the same things again and again and again. So we're just like growing that contributor base with all of this domain knowledge. So that's pretty awesome. Uh, all right, let's move on to one other thing that went well. We finally got Zool v3 completed, Zool v3 transition completed for this cycle. It was a good community goal, but a very hard one for us specifically. Um, and that was because, I mean, we had practically, I think, just one or two examples to work out of, sort of a thing. Almost every other job was using DevStackGate, was legacy, and we had to make a lot of decisions through the process, and it took us at least a couple of months, if not many weeks, to get that completed. So thanks for all the reviews. Thanks for all the work on that community goal. I mean, we just kept the cadence on that. Any thoughts on that? Nope. Let's move on. We got a couple of new TC tags. We got I think one of them was the TC approved release. We got a TC tag called Kubernetes invert. We got another TC tag called accessible upgrade check. And these things matter to us a lot, only in terms of making the community presence felt. That this is a mature project that is ready for I mean, production use for those that are trying to evaluate whether the project is ready for that, or the aspect of to get the bloodline of where the community is and how vibrant it is and such. We'll be chasing a few more of these until we're through through that gate that I'd like to call. So we did well there. We have some items to take forward to Wallaby. Want to call out some Tempest improvements, and this in a huge part to Andre, to Douglas, to Carlos, to the whole team at NetApp, and to the team at Red Hat, to Leron, to Vida, to those that thought about the new test cases, to new to completing really old test caps. We didn't have scenario testing for natives FFS. We have them through the Victoria cycle. We didn't have proper testing for DHSS true. Our Tempest was badly broken for DHSS true, and we fixed a lot of those legacy issues at the beginning of this Victoria cycle. It was a lot of hard work. I was scared Andre is going to stop contributing to Manila or something, but he pulled through, and it was really good work. I wish I could actually write this down as a cycle highlight, but the way things work, I'm sorry, we don't really make press releases for Tempest fixes. But I'm 100% sure the users are going to be thankful for the kind of quality improvements we've made, and for all this gating that'll prevent any bugs in the code. So it's huge for me. It's huge for this community. So pat yourselves at the back. This is just amazing work that deserves recognition. And anything else to add? Anyone else? Andre, did you recover from some PTSD after that? Oh, he's still not. He'll be okay. We'll talk to him during the happy hour on Friday and check again, or we'll send help. All right. If there's nothing else, let's move on. Great PTL leadership and vision. Thank you so much. Again, I'm going to add that being PTL is actually easy, and I really want at some point to stop being PTL. But there were some things that were unfinished that made me want to do it again for the Wallaby cycle. But through this cycle, through this PTG, I actually want to dispel. I mean, some myths about what this position entails and what where we're going to go with this kind of a thing. So let's look forward to that. I thank each one of you to have made this job easier and to have defined this role. And it's been fun. Anyone else has any thoughts on that? All right. The next thing is collab reviews. So we formalized that over the last couple of cycles. Thank you, Douglas, for starting that for doing that for Victoria. It was a really productive collaborative review that we've uploaded even on for later consumption on YouTube. We've kind of set the bar for how major features are committed into Manila. So if that is a vehicle for people that want to contribute new features to take advantage of, we will try to schedule these closer to the M3 timeframe for Wallaby as well. So if you have a major feature that you're targeting and would like to give us a demo, walk us through the code, make us understand your perspective, and open for a high touch review, this is a perfect opportunity for you. So we'll definitely do this again in Wallaby cycle. I'm sure Douglas has a major feature coming. So but this is open to everyone else as well. If you have some things that you would like to have a high touch review, we don't have to do this at the end of the cycle. Whenever your code review is ready, just ping us, let us know in the weekly meetings that you would like a collaborative review. It is the fastest way we can merge anything, uh, because you have a bunch of people, and we can butt our heads and have our disagreements and arguments recorded synchronously and such. But at the same time, what we're trying to do is not try to make this a norm. This we don't have to get on a video call on to discuss a review. That's what the code review system is for. But it gives us an opportunity that to fill the gaps between us reviewing a bunch of code and not having the opportunity to talk to a developer right then and there, ask a question, back comes the response, sort of a thing. But we do have the habit of taking all the feedback that we have from the collab review back on the review, so nobody is missing out if they're not joining a video call.
Yeah, for sure. Let's try. We will try to make this meeting smaller than the last one that took 4 hours, but it was a very productive review where we take some decisions during the meeting and and decide which approach to take on specific part of the codes that if we considered doing this during the review in the review in the Garrett would take too long to make a decision and agreement. So we are probably going to do this in the cycle in order to get another features merged.
Awesome. Any other feedback on this? Nope. Let's quickly move on to what needs improvement. uh, all right, we still need a timeline to close low-hanging fruits. We kind of discussed this at the last PTG. We said there are a lot of bugs that we keep aside for new contributors, saying that they're low-hanging fruit, and they languish for over a cycle. And so typically at that point, what we need to do is, if it's an annoying issue and a known bug that has no workaround, we ought to go ahead and fix it. Um, so we should probably time box some of those bugs and address them. So that way is the suggestion here. And I don't know what the time box should be typically, because for one, when I'm talking to somebody that's new, that's trying to contribute, I really want to see a bunch of low hanging fruit, so they have the options of deciding which ones to pick up. But at the same time, keep putting my PTL hat on. I'm very annoyed when we see a low hanging fruit for a long time, that that might actually be affecting actual users. Any thoughts on that? A suggestion would be to, if a bug has been opened and has been marked low hanging fruit, it cannot be open for longer than a milestone, or maybe 2 milestones at max. So if it's been opened in M1, it has to be closed by M3. If we give ourselves that sort of a timeline, then we know, if nobody's picked it up by in that time frame, we just go ahead, pick it up, and close it opportunistically. Then again, today we're not saying don't pick up low hanging fruit, or keep them aside for new contributors. We just tag them, but does not mean that you're not supposed to pick them up, or you're not supposed to fix them. Any thoughts? If we should have a time frame, or do you think it's not a big problem if these bugs are lying around? And if they are, I mean, one way of looking at it can be that if something is a problem and somebody's annoyed, they're going to either propose a fix, or make some noise on the bug. So we don't need to consider this as a problem.
We probably have different priorities among the low-hanging fruit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like something we encountered in tests that's a corner case that nobody has experienced versus it's easy, so we called it low-hanging fruit, but it actually impacted somebody. I mean, just the other extreme. I don't want to make it too complicated. You may just want to time box them all, but certainly the ones that are actually affecting people, we don't want to languish. I'm not saying we want any of them to languish, but
Yeah, it kind of makes sense though. Yeah, so if we are marking a bug as high or critical, then it can't be a low-hanging fruit that we wait around for. I mean, it may be a low-hanging fruit as far as the code fix goes, but we shouldn't be waiting on new contributors to come pick up that bug or something. And maybe we should apply that even to medium bugs. If a low-hanging fruit is medium, we then time box it and say, it has to get fixed within this cycle, sort of a thing. But if it is a low or a wish list item, then we can let it be. Is that what uh, you intended, Tom?
yeah, something like that. The other thing is, like, if somebody has picked it up and it's not making fast enough progress, maybe we can have somebody pair program or team with the person who has it, or at least offer to do that. I mean, I pick up a bug. I think I'm going to make progress on it. I mean, this could apply to me as well. I think I'm going to make progress on something, my name's on it, so nobody else works on it, but I'm not making progress. If we can establish kind of a etiquette in the team that says, look, you notice it's just sitting around, offer to help, or, maybe the person will just have you take over, but otherwise they might just welcome some help.
Agreed. So let's do that. And we'll come up with an action item for this.
If anybody's had insight on the configuration table generation, please feel free to offer help to me.
Yeah.
I promise I won't drop it all together on your lap.
Yep.
You know, anybody can have something that they're not making progress on, and including, you know, and if it's a new person with a new bug, we don't want it to be disheartening to them either.
Yeah, this goes back to I think what Vida and Vicky were talking about with you know, trying to team up on a bug that is probably hard. So yeah, definitely offering to help. Uh, I mean, maybe we should. I mean, Tom, like you said, that particular configuration bug, we know we're having issues with it because I mean, you've looked at it quite a bit and such. Maybe we should have it. You should bring it up during a weekly meeting and say, I looked
Sure.
at it and I need help.
I don't know what to do yet.
That's just an example, though. I mean, now that we
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that, yeah, makes sense. Any further thoughts on these bugs and low-hanging fruit, long pending bugs, etc.? At least we're giving Vida another criteria to, you know, um, categorize these bugs, and maybe even Vida will check on us regularly when we know there's a long pending, complicated bug that requires, you know, more than one of us to look at and such, and that way we can keep track and work towards completion.
Yeah, Gotham, we could certainly do that.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, if there are no other thoughts, let's move on quickly to the next one. Manila UI got a great new feature, but it has a long way to go to catch up. We're already working on fixing this issue, fixing this gap. You will hear from us very shortly when we do the sub-teams discussion. And like Victoria said, we're targeting an outreach internship. So fingers crossed, if we can get an outreach intern, um, some of the UI gaps should be addressed. Any other thoughts on that? Nope. Let's move on. Focal fossa community goal. Now, this was a big one that we've not yet completed as well. So the community was trying to get off of Bionic Beaver testing for Wallaby, and this is mainly because of the Python runtimes that are supported for these distros. And we needed to test on something that Wallaby is going to be run on, and likely that Ubuntu, for instance, is not going to support Victoria with the latest operating system, that is Focal Fossa, and there's probably a good chance that they're not going to support Bionic Beaver as the distribution for the Wallaby release. So these things made the OpenStack community decide to jump to Focal Fossa. Now this didn't go as easy as they thought it would. So I guess work really started towards M3, uh, and I mean, we had issues, you know, triaging those bugs that were there, and ultimately we got a patch that just allowed testing for certain drivers to remain on Bionic Beaver. This includes the ZFS on Linux driver, the container driver, the LVM driver, the generic driver. So almost uh, a bulk of our first party drivers, we've moved the dummy driver, but we know that's just a fake driver. So we have issues there. It's it was a pretty bad state, but we're not the only team that has leftovers from that community cycle goal. And again, the part of the other problem over there is that we underestimated what it might take to move um, from Bionic Beaver to Focal Fossa. Again, we don't want to be promoting Focal Fossa as some sort of a golden distribution for upstream Manila OpenStack. We know, for instance, that us as developers have a wide gamut of distributions that we use to code Manila in. and such. And it is really the job of the distributor to qualify that distribution against us. But we tend to use a distro for testing, for upstream CI and stuff. And that's what this concerns. For one, I thought myself would be sufficient to take a look at and work through this community goal, but I could barely spend time on this community goal through Victoria. So that's something that needs improvement. I think we also provided that as feedback to the TC, and this cycle they are not looking to take on more than one goal. So because for teams like Manila, where goal number one was such a huge deal, two goals is probably going to be a huge undertaking, and we may never get there, uh, as was evidenced in Victoria. Thanks to others that took a look at this, we still have to do this. It's still it's below our work from Victoria. So if you're willing to help, and if you have cycles and want to test one of these drivers on focal fossa and fix the issues, please feel free to sign up. I'll just drop the bug links on that action on that item. Any thoughts on that? Any other comments? Nope. Let's move on to couldn't get to work on the vulnerability managed tag. We'll touch that a little bit in the subteams discussion. Don't want to spend too much time over there on this. Uh, Need to get review participation for new features from those who will consume them or implement them in their backends. Um, Tom, was that from you? Check. All right, I think Tom's off the call for some reason. Anybody else has similar feedback? I think the problem here was that we weren't getting vendor support for certain things that were vendor specific. So, like for example, share server migration, something that we merged in the last cycle. We know that share servers are there are vendor specific implementations for that, but we only were able to take a look at one driver, which was the NetApp driver, and how it works into consideration to even design this feature. So we will get to talk about this. I do have this item in the PTG, and I have asked some of the vendors to join into that discussion. So let's table that for now. Too many features proposed in the feature freeze, only 3 weeks to review them, lots of lines of code to be reviewed.
I added this one just to bring this to discussion and try to identify things that we can do to improve the review process because it seems that every release at the end of the feature freeze proposal deadline, we have very time leaks where both people that are reviewing the code and people that are proposing the patch, they have to interact a lot in the last week. And I think that beside we already doing the collab review before this this deadline. Well, I think that we can still do something to get to improve this review process. So I would like to ask you from you if do you guys think that we have something that we can do to improve the features that are being proposed, like uh, try to propose earlier, but as a work in progress feature, and try to do a review on different phase, and not providing the feature entire feature itself in the proposal deadline, something like that.
It's a fair point, and I don't have any bright ideas at the moment. We've tried to improve this in the past years, which is kind of where the collab review was introduced at all.
Yeah.
So that was one way to fix that. But if vendor CIs are breaking and we are not able to determine what's going on with just looking at the logs, we're not able to get them to you know actively review something that might affect the other drivers as well. Because performing a code review, we have sufficient domain knowledge, I think, but from the reviewers that sign up to do your code review, right? But where that got a little complicated for features such as this was just the aspect of not having enough feedback from other vendors. Uh,
Sure.
so we'll take that to that discussion that Tom proposed on 27th. That's tomorrow at 16:35 UTC. So let's bring this up because it's in the same lines
Yeah.
as the above one. Fix recurring and known CI failures. Lots of rechecks were needed to get things merged. Was this a generic problem, or was this more like, we had some breakages on the day of feature freeze that came from DevStack, from stuff like docs broke on us, Python
No,
jobs broke on us.
no, those this is regarding some known issues that we have, like the VM driver, for example, that
Mhm.
some is a recurring error that we have in RCI, and we probably have a launchpad bug open to fix this. So
Yeah.
the idea is, in order to improve our CI and do less rechecks, if we can get those bugs and try to fix them in order to improve the RCI.
So, Douglas, can I ask then, since you were definitely affected by this in the last cycle, can you make a list of these bugs that are that we are rechecking against for, let's say, the LVM driver, the dummy driver, and the Python jobs? These are the voting jobs that we have that will require a recheck. So if you have a list, then we can try to prioritize that for the upcoming bug squash.
Uh, I don't have, but I can create.
Awesome. Yep. Let's take an AI and address these at the upcoming bug squash. Uh, any other thoughts on CI failures and rechecks? Okay, so the last item, sorry, go ahead.
Don't think so. That's
Okay.
it.
Last item here is more documentation needs to be improved. Backend support feature matrix. Sorry, I'm smiling, but that's gonna be a concern all the time. Our docs. Um, I mean, a lot of work went in last cycle. Definitely want to stick to that. I appreciate everybody that contributed to documentation. So, Douglas, you're saying that the backend feature support mapping is out of date, or is it lacking in some way?
Yeah, this is one of the part of the documentation that hasn't been updated for a long time.
Mhm.
So I'm tend to work on this specific doc, but we have been doing a lot of documentation improvement on Victor Cycle, and this is just another one that I want to work on. So
Okay.
just bringing this to the meeting.
So, in case, no, absolutely. Thanks for doing that. In case you have bugs like this that you're seeing, doc bugs, has it been helpful to just click on that uh, report a bug tool that the the team presents to us, and go ahead and file the bug just then and there, so we can actually track that?
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
one of the things that is very overwhelming is, of course, that if you say, hey, there's a lot of documentation bugs, then we'll never get to it, because you'll hear statements like the one that I just made, saying it's always, you know documentation can always be improved and stuff. But if this is a specific bug, I would highly encourage us to just report a bug right away.
Yeah. Sure, I will do this.
Awesome.
Since I'm already working on this specific matrix.
Awesome. Great. I think that brings us to the end of it. We spent way more time than we thought we would on the retrospective. Any other further thoughts before we switch over back to the regular agenda? We only have 5 minutes before the next topic kicks in. So I want to give some time to the next topic if we can. Any other thoughts?
Just a simple comment, Gotham. Seems that the Ceph atom and futures discussion already started.
Oh, okay.
So we may need to push that item
Yeah.
first and then discuss on the sub teams. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's wrap up then with the retrospective. We did have we will take. I'll reschedule this sub teams discussion to tomorrow or some other slot that I can find. But thank you so much for adding your thoughts to this retrospective. Really important for us to take these kind of notes and continue to improve our processes and such. If you have any further thoughts, please add them as separate items to the planning PTG planning Etherpad at the very bottom, and we'll try to see if we can schedule them in the next couple of days. Otherwise, thank you so much for attending today's session. We will see you in the Triple O room, should you be there, or I will see you here in the cactus room tomorrow. I think tomorrow is that one weird day where we're going to end up in the cactus room, but I thought it was still something that you all will remember because we were having fun in that room last PTG. So we'll see each other in the cactus room at 1400 UTC tomorrow, if not in the triple O room in 5 minutes. Let me stop screen share. Let me take a look at you. If you all are willing to turn on your cameras, I'd like to take a picture for the foundation. Oh, some of you are already smiling. That's nice. Oh, nice to see you, Maurice. All right. 3, 2, 1, say cheese. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. See you all tomorrow.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, everyone. See ya.
Bye. Thank you.